Hello, I'm Jillian Chastain, and we're interviewing Cal here.
Mhm.
Can you tell me the title of your game, first of all?
Well, the title I wanted to kind of save until we get to more of a finished state. But right now we're using the title of Football 2017. That's our working title. And we have a website up called dynamicfootball4u.com. That's dynamic football for the number 4 and then u.com. And so the title we're going to release as we get closer and closer to the end of development, where we get to the release in 2017, and we're going to release that title then.
Awesome. So, can you tell me, can you describe your game for me and how it's different from other football games like Madden?
Well, it's going to be a lot different than Madden in the sense that people are going to be able to have full customization of the game. They're going to be able to customize the teams, the uniforms, the stadiums. We're going to have vintage assets in there, so people will be able to add just about any type of era that they want in the game. And we're also going to give people the option to, actually have different play modes. They can play with the rules. So you can play a Canadian game, but you can throw some American rules in there. Or you can play an American game, throw some Canadian rules in there. So it's going to give people a lot of different options so they can create their own experience. I think of it as like a big sandbox that people can play in.
A football sandbox.
A football sandbox, if you will, yeah.
Yeah. So we have vintage football, we have Canadian football, American football, we have the ladies football.
That's right. I forgot to mention we have ladies and we have indoor football.
Indoor football.
Indoor football. But the ladies is it's not going to be the lingerie ladies or anything like that. It's going to be ladies football, just like it is in real life, because there are women's football leagues, and they're going to be dressed up in pads, and you're going to have the women's body types and stuff in there. So we're going to represent.
Can you mix and match ladies and guys together?
I was thinking about doing that, and I was thinking about really doing that, and I'm kind of on the fence with that. But I think it wouldn't be any harm in doing that. I mean, it's football, so I wouldn't have any problem with mixing the ladies with the guys. I mean, I think that would be kind of cool, because ladies could play the game against guys, and then they could hit them, and and vice versa. So
Dream come true.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I think I was toying around with that idea, and I'm thinking, why don't we just go ahead and just make it a free for all and just let people do whatever they want to do.
You could have different game modes too.
Yeah.
Which is here's the stricter rules, and then here's do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's going to be set up that way, so people will be able to play the regular American game, indoor, Canadian, whatever. But then you'll be able to mix the rules and play whatever you want. What I'm really interested to see is what people are going to do. The community is going to do with this. When all these creative people get a hold of something like this, they'll make up their own leagues and rules and teams and uniforms. It's going to be really nice.
Have you ever heard of a game called 98 Koshin?
No.
It's a Japanese baseball game that is a lot like that.
Really?
Yeah, and it's people make hilarious videos on it on YouTube, and so
really?
Yeah, I think that's a large part of the goal, but also it has that realistic simulation as well.
Okay.
So for serious people, also I like the fact that it's multi-generational. So people maybe who have never played a football game before might actually want to pick up the controller and play this game.
And that's what I like about this, because we were at COGG. Remember at COGG, and people were asking questions about they got sick of with Madden they have one guy and he just dominates and everything like that. Well, this is only going to have one skill level, and I think the thing about this is it's not going to be that kind of game where you're going to be able to just go back and just dominate with one player or something like that. You're really going to have to focus on playing football.
Yeah.
And whether it's women's or whatever it is, you're still going to have to focus on the strategic part of it. And that's
so the other stuff, customization is more superficial, but the core mechanics are the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we're going to do some different things with the teams. We're going to have our own teams in the game. We're going to have our own merchandise and marketing for those teams and everything. So we'll have our own virtual leagues, if you will. So it's going to be nice.
So besides the football players, what else is going to be in the game? Because camera is a really important part in football games.
So what we did with the camera is we've worked out. This is already done. We've already worked out where the camera angles are going to be just like they are in Madden, but we're going to give some other different angles, like on the sidelines, things that go on the sidelines that you don't see like during the game, that you may get glimpses of in real life, but we want to be able to give the user the ability to go to the sidelines and kind of look at, what's going on over there. So we're going to try to make the sidelines a little active as well.
Yeah, I've always heard people wanting to add cheerleaders and fans and crew, like that, all of the aspect, because it's not just football players. There's like it's the energy that they want from a real football game, and that also like adding something like VR would be amazing.
We actually have talked about the VR aspect of it. And that's after we get the game released, we wanted to also add the VR aspect of it. And this is also going to be a simulator too, that we want to onboard coaches and little league coaches and college coaches and everything with. So it's going to be more than just a video game, a lot more than that.
So the scope of this seems very large. So can you tell me about how'd you get started and the planning process, and how'd you like make all these decisions, and you've pretty much been doing this by yourself, like you just did all of the research and been bringing it all to put together. So tell me about that.
Well, I did do a lot of this by myself, but as I think I mentioned to you at one of the COGG conferences, my older son, who passed away back in 2010, he and I used to play Madden a lot, and we used to talk about what we would like to have in a game, what that game would look like, and how it would just, be. And, he said, you ought to make a game, Dad, you ought to make it. I'm like, I can't do this. I mean, you got to have like all these people, and he's like, no, all you got to do is just make the game. All you got to do is just, what to make, just make it, and then I didn't think about it. I'm like, well, God, maybe that's not a bad idea, but then I just let it go. And then after he passed, then I just spent a lot of time. I said, what, it's better. I want to do something that's going to make a difference. And so I said, why not? Let's revisit that and design this game. So then I started doing all the research I could about football. I played football and everything, but I wanted to get a little deeper into it. And I have a couple of friends that, one of them, Roy Bennett, who used to play a defensive back for the Chargers, and he played for the Washington Redskins. And I said, how does it feel? I was asking him, because I'd never played pro football. I wanted to know how it felt to be on a pro football field in the locker room and what that atmosphere was like. So I started doing research on that, and then I started doing research on, just the game itself, the historical part of the game. It's always been blocking and tackling. Some of the basic things have always been there. It's just now the players are just bigger and stronger. That's what I found out. It's all pretty much been the same over the course of
even
centuries.
like equipment and rules.
Well, equipment has changed a little bit. Obviously, we don't have leather helmets anymore, but the equipment has changed. It has evolved, but the basic blocking and tackling and play calling and everything has really been the same from. That's what I found. It's been the same since 1920 on, till now. And so I started putting this thing together 4 years ago. And I started just putting the design document together. I'm like, I just started one day, just started writing stuff, and my wife will tell you. I mean, I just started writing things and just started putting things together, and then I think we put stuff down on a sheet and said, all right, these are the things that we want to have as revenue generators. That's how it started. And this is one of the ones that was on that pie of the revenue generators.
So you came at it in a business approach.
Yes. It's always been a business approach, because I think that with anything that you do, in order to make sure that it lasts long, you have to approach it from a business perspective, because a lot of people that are doing these games are like, oh, we don't want to make any money, and I'm like, that's absurd. How are you going to make more games? How are you going to make your game better if you don't make any money? You know, and so I did the planning, and then after 4 years of that, I just, you know, this past year, I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to try to make this thing.
Yeah.
And then it was a lot of disappointments, because I had some people that just didn't work out, that said that they could do things that they couldn't do, and a lot of things just didn't go well at all.
Game development is really difficult.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of people want to get into it, but actually, like, going through that process is one of our hardest, like, things to do, because you're combining art and technology together, and people don't realize what's all in a game, which is why, I think I love how your son was just make it. Just make the game. Yeah. And you know what? You are pretty much doing that. You could have quit at, like, so many times. There's a lot of ups and downs being a game developer. It's a very amazing experience and enjoyable, but it's also very heartbreaking at the same time.
And it's very frustrating too.
Oh yes. And
and
you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it in order to follow through. But you seem like you have a lot of passion in your life in general.
That's what's really driven me with this whole thing. I mean, I'm so far into it now, it's like I can't get out. You know, it's like, if I get out now, it would just be a real big letdown and a waste. So I have to continue on this path, because I know where it's leading. It's already starting to. I mean, we've done more in a year, even with all the setbacks, than a lot of people have. You know, in years. You've grown
and learned from your mistakes, like we all do. Like when we're getting into this, because it's a very new genre, like new medium. Art games are. They've only been around for a few decades.
Yes.
So it's something that we're all learning together, and there's no, like, really good way to teach it and stuff like that. It's just something that the individual has to take upon themselves to understand.
And you know, with the football game, there's nobody knows how to. Other than EA has a formula, or 2K has a formula for making one of these things.
That is true.
So there's no assets out there. There's a lot of blueprints out there for first-person shooters and kiddie games and stuff like that, but there's nothing out there to make a sports title or football game.
Why do you think that is?
Because I believe a lot of people don't think that it's a viable thing to make. It's more popular and easier to make a shooter game. And not only that, I think some people don't want to go into that because it's a little more complex. I mean, making a football game with artificial intelligence that has to read things, and football can be a complex sport. And then when you're having to, you know, replicate that, you know, some developers, a lot of the people that I've talked to that I've tried to get on to develop, they don't even want to touch it because it's too much involved for them. It's not a matter of, you know, shooting a ball up in the air and jumping up to catch a key like in Mario or something like that. It's much more complex than that. I think that's why people don't want to take it on.
Why do you think you're the man to do it?
I'm the man to do it because I have the drive, determination, and the business acumen to be able to pull this off. I've managed projects in the past. You know, my background is in audit, and I've been an IT audit director for years. So I'm familiar with technology. I'm familiar with project management, that's what this is, a technological project management type project. And so I'm definitely the best person to pull this off because of the experience that I have, and not only that, my work ethic is there. It's you know, I will not be